Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are discussing the ultimate CS dilemma, whether we should build projects or grand DSA. I am on the side of the projects myself. Lakshita, why do you think we should build projects?
Because nobody outside the interview room really cares if you can invert a binary tree on Python.
True.
In real life, when you take a project, you have to take an idea, you integrate the front end, back end, and manage the databases. When you do these projects, you learn about the API integration, all when how to handle the actual users that are coming on your project. You only learn about these things when you build something real.
True.
But that sounds amazing on your resume. Good luck if you find a recruiter who can even read that resume. But what about if you are at the 45 minutes of round solving the question on ICPC or the technical round? What about solving the questions, handling that pressure onto your mind? So that's make the DSA practice even more important rather than projects.
Exactly. You have a shiny web app, but if you code line in O and O of and Square, but your database line to O of log n, your database will going to be crashed in a second. It's real traffic. Mastering graph, dynamic programming, and advanced data will structure provide to employee data. You have the raw analytics power, horsepower to solve problems that haven't even I think, encouraged yet, it's the universal language of top tier tech companies.
That's purely theoretical, right? Sure, you can write an optimized graph function, but it doesn't really matter if you can't handle the load that will be that your system will be facing when multiple users are actually using. It doesn't really matter if it is up or down by 0.0001%. Ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter that much. No? And the computer systems currently are capable enough that they can handle these things.
I Yeah, but if we see like tech stack and the frameworks will change every couple of years, but the algorithms that remains permanent. The algorithm, how the code should run efficiently, which is most important rather than doing that how to build API or something like that. Let me ask you something. Suppose you have a GitHub repo full of just lead code questions. What are you going to talk about the rest of the intro? What I personally feel is that projects gives you a story. When you handle those hurdles of AI pipeline, you take AI pipeline from the local machine and from local machine in January and then push it further. I feel like that gives you a kind of shows the passion, the leadership, and the resilience that you. But what about the environment where if you are going through an technical round where you have to solve 45 minutes of question?
But that exactly is the problem, right? During interviews, they ask you question that generally you don't encounter while actually doing the job. That's the problem I am telling you about. Now, those questions are not necessary for the job itself.
But like landing to a job is important, but passing that rounds is more important than landing the job. If you DSA doesn't
Are you
teach
sure
you
about that?
this, I am not saying like it's more important in my way. I am saying like if you doesn't pass the rounds, then how will you land a job?
Okay. And let me ask you a question. If your project gets a massive traffic spike and you didn't understand the underlying time complexity of your database queries and event and you just building a house of cards, you just need the biggest logic that only competitive programming needs provide to ensure your system doesn't melt down on launch day.
Okay, okay. Let's take a step back, and I think we all can realize that each of us put some points that are relevant. And if we actually want to land a job or internship, we need both DSA and projects.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but you can't actually survive in the industry with just work. You need DSA to get your foot in the door and actually pass the OT.
And we need the projects, the AI pipelines, the production apps, the parents to stand out in the behavioral round.
so that people can see that you can actually build something that people want to use in the industry.
Exactly, like lead code and ICPC rounds are important to sharpen your blade, but real world projects helps you to understand what's the real world problem going on. So it's not DSA versus projects, it's DSA and projects to help you a perfect job.
Well said. I think we all have reached the conclusion that both are necessary. Now, I want you to get off YouTube, open your ID, and start building projects or do DSA. I don't. Bye bye.
Thanks for listening.